Hello, welcome to another segment of Reading Out Loud. I'm Bradley Bird, and today I'd like to read you two pieces with a Christmas theme, being as we're less than 2 weeks away from the big day. Both of these pieces are original. One is a short essay that I wrote a few years ago when my grandchildren were much younger than they are now, and the second is a poem that I wrote just this year. The first piece is titled A Panhandler's Christmas. After we retired to Florida some years ago, we discovered that Christmas there is as jolly a season as any we enjoyed up north, enveloped by snow. It was especially joyous when our grandchildren came to visit. One evening during our last Christmas season in the sunny South, we all went out to dinner. My wife, our daughter and her husband, and 3 of our grandchildren. We'd spent the afternoon shopping at a large regional mall, and were looking forward to enjoying the cheer of the season and the pleasure of each other's company. During dinner, we talked of our plans for their holiday with us. Unlike the North, where tobogganing, skating, snowball fights, and warm fires were the order of the day, in Florida, the beach, the pool, and the golf courses were all on the agenda. We were looking forward to an old-fashioned holiday with lots of singing, plenty of fresh air and exercise, good food, and family to enjoy being around the tree with. By the time we finished dinner, sharing our happy plans, we were all feeling very fine, warm, full, comfortable. We left the restaurant chatting amiably and began the walk back to the parking lot where we had left the car. As we waited to cross the intersection, guided by flashing green and red traffic lights that added to the festive Christmas air, we were accosted by a stranger. He meant us no harm, but his sudden approach startled us out of our contented state. He was tall and quite thin, and his face jutted out from under a worn cap. His beard was unkempt, his eyes red and rheumy. He wore faded jeans, tattered and patched, and an old plaid shirt with the collar turned up. The children huddled behind their parents, afraid of being so close to such an apparition. When he spoke to me, I could hardly hear him in the hum of the passing traffic. He mumbled through that scraggly beard, through missing teeth, his words coming in disjointed phrases. Hey, can you got anything, any change? A bus ticket, maybe? You got any? He was clutching a misspelled sign on a scrap of corrugated cardboard that read, "Veteran, homeless, everything helps." "No, sorry," I muttered, watching for the green light that would allow us to escape. And we walked away, slightly embarrassed, but relieved to leave him behind. "Who was that guy, Daddy?" one of the kids asked. "Did he want to hurt us?" another chimed in. Their parents reassured them that he had meant no harm. He was just a man asking for money. "Is he sick, Mommy? Will he be all right?" None of us could really answer. When we reached the car, we clambered in silently, each of us lost in our own thoughts. The kids soon put the episode behind them, immersing themselves in their gaming devices. As I drove back through the intersection, heading home, the stranger was still on the corner, huddling around himself, approaching passers-by. He looked pathetic and utterly alone. I hoped he didn't see me staring at him. Later that night, after everyone was in bed, I thought of him again. At first, I chastised myself for not giving him something to help him out. From somewhere, the scrap of a Bible verse teased a corner of my mind. "Whatsoever ye do unto the least of these, ye do also unto me." Something close to that, I think. But then I rationalized that a token from me would not likely have helped him anyway. He was obviously past the point where a solitary handout was going to make much of a difference in his life. He'd probably have wasted whatever we might have given him on booze or drugs. That's what I told myself self-righteously. At one point I got angry that he had put me in such an uncomfortable position. Still, underneath it all, I felt a nagging guilt. 'Tis the season to care for one's fellow creatures, yet we, so full of the Christmas spirit, had kept on walking. Because we were fearful, because we hadn't known how to respond, or because we didn't care. Was it best to have ignored him and walked on, I wondered? Or would it have been better to have given him something in the spirit of Christmas and with the hope that it would have helped him? I didn't know. As I think about it even now, almost a year later, sitting warm and safe at home at the onset of another Christmas season, surrounded by people who love me, I wonder where that stranger is and whether he's okay. And I wish I knew what I should have done. That's A Christmas Panhandler, as I said, written some years ago. And right at the end, I make mention of another Christmas season where we're gathered with those that we love. And of course, this year, we're not able to do that because of all of the pandemic restrictions. We are essentially spending Christmas with our family and friends virtually. This second piece I'd like to read is a poem. It was written much more recently, this year as a matter of fact. It's included in the latest collection of tales that I've published, Tales of a Woke Wayfarer, which came out at the beginning of this month. And it's titled A Christmas Tale. On a cold park bench enveloped in stench slumped a woman, haggard, old, with long straggly hair, face wrinkled with care, clothes ragged, shivering cold. As I passed her by, idly wondering why she was there and whence she came, she disturbed my cheer as Christmas drew near, a mystery and a shame. But one little lad approached her, quite sad, stood quietly by her side. They spoke not a word, least not that I heard, and the woman softly cried. The boy bowed his head, and something was said between them. What could it be? Then after a while, with a tearful smile, she lifted the boy to her knee. He offered the hag a gift from the bag he had purchased for his mum, a porcelain cup from which she could sup, that had cost a tidy sum. And from his worn purse a coin he dispersed into her scarred, bony hand. It wasn't too much, but oh, it was such a gesture, humble yet grand. So I stole away, embarrassed, I'd say, compared to that little lad. I hadn't stopped there to show her some care. He'd given her all he had. When he left the crone on the bench alone and dark came to quell the light, the snow gently fell, I heard the church bell as day surrendered to night. At Christmas morn's dawn, the old hag was gone as quickly as she'd appeared. I heaved a great sigh as I hurried by to the church that I revered. But on my way back, on the bench, a sack, tied gaily with Christmas wrap. On the card, the name of the lad who came to sit on the old woman's lap. He opened it up and pulled out the cup, ablaze now, silver and gold. Reflecting the light, it blinded my sight. My terror could not be told. I fell to my knees, immediately seized by shame for how I had erred, ignoring the crone, bereft and alone, when my time I should have shared. Though it sounds absurd, in my head I heard the Lord's voice, loving but stern. You have been measured, I am displeasured. Now you must listen and learn. In all of your town, just one boy I found who took time to pay me heed. He came to my aid. Together we prayed in my hour of greatest need. With sorrowful face I asked for the grace of forgiveness, mercy, love. The next words were clear. They rang in my ear, admonishing from above. Take care how you treat the poor in the street. They too are my children, you see. And whate'er you do unto these wretched few, you do it also to me. A Christmas Tale. I found it interesting as I was looking back through the canon of works that these two pieces, written several years apart, reflected the same theme, that questioning about what is the best thing to do when I encounter someone less fortunate than myself. I like to think that I know the proper thing to do, but I wonder, do I always do it? I hope that this Christmas season, however you will be spending it with your family or your friends, whether you're able to do that in person or whether it's just virtual, that it will be a joyful time for you and that we will all enjoy a happy and healthy and safe new year. I'm Bradley Bird. This is Reading Out Loud. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to see you again.